Shan Mac, how are you?
Hey, hey, what's happening? I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, yeah, very good, thank you. Very, very good. Like we kind of just said, we just spoke a little bit before we hit record, but you are the first guest on the Ground Up podcast. Welcome.
I love that. Thank you very much. I'm excited for it.
No problem at all. So look, we kind of discussing before we hit record as well that I don't want these to be very, very formal now. The whole purpose of this is because obviously as Limitless, shining myself apart at Limitless, and we post a lot of results out there, like pretty much daily, which is fantastic from the mentees that we work with. But there is still a lot of people who are quite skeptical when it comes to what you can actually achieve within business, especially online as well. So the whole purpose of this is to bring people like yourself on, Shan, and just talk about the journey from point A to point B to just show how it can actually be achieved and how those results are real. Like they're not fake, they're not made up, they are real results from real people that are actually out there absolutely killing it. So before we kind of get into things, what I wanted to do with this as well, in the spirit of that too, what I want to do is actually give away a little bit of a prize to the people that actually watch each and every one of these. So what I want you to do, if you've got a pen and paper on you, I want you to write down how many views you think this will get by the end of January. And just write it down, just keep it to yourself now. And we'll disclose that right at the very end. But bear in mind, this is the first ever one, so we're probably going to get about 10 views. But just write it down for the time being, keep it to yourself. And then anyone that's interested, just comment below Mac. So MACK. And then what we're going to do is, however many views this actually gets, we're going to give away £1 per view that it actually gets to that person to kind of help them get their business going. And if Shannon guesses that number correctly, we'll double that number. Okay, that's how we're going to do this every single time. Okay, a little bit of fun. A little bit of fun. A little bit of fun. That's it. That's it. So what we'll do is we'll just kind of, if I was to meet you in the gym, meet you in a coffee shop, a bar, or wherever, and I said, "Who are you?" Just if you could talk about like who you are and where you're currently at in your life right now, that'd be amazing.
Absolutely. I would say I'm a mentor. I help people. If someone literally does ask me this, by the way, I never, I think there must be some sort of imposter syndrome. I never say I'm a business owner. I always say I'm a mentor. I help people achieve their goals. Um, if they push a little bit harder, I'm like, okay, I help people scale and grow their business. I also help people with their mental health. I help people overcome disordered eating. I just say I'm a mentor that helps people because that's what I pride myself on being.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. And mentoring in what?
Well, now it's in helping people grow and scale their businesses,
Yeah.
surpass the mistakes that I made along the way so they can shortcut their way there. And also to my teams, at a team who are helping people with disordered eating with the Inner Self Club. I'm a mentor to them to make sure that they're continuously growing as well and we're helping as many people as we can.
Excellent, excellent. So what we'll do is we'll kind of go right back to the very, very beginning, just so we can kind of paint the picture. And this is the whole purpose of this. So obviously you're very successful at the moment with the Inner Self Club, with mentoring as well. Like absolutely, I mean, you're in Dubai right now, very, very jealous. You got the little dog running around somewhere as well. Absolutely living the dream. But for those that don't actually follow Shan, I'm so jealous every single morning. She's just on her skates in the sun with a little dog just trying to keep up, bless it.
You know what? It's one of the things when you say, "Oh, I want to live near the beach," but then how many people actually, when they live near the beach, go to the beach? Or,
Yeah,
"Oh, I want to be in the sun," but then you spend all your time working inside. You're never actually in the sun.
yeah.
So a few years ago, I was like, "Do you know what? I'm here. I need to actually live the life here that I said I wanted to move here for." So yeah, that was a big pivotal moment for me.
Yeah,
So
it's
I make
so
sure I.
rare. It's so rare. When I was living in Spain, exactly the same thing. Like I constantly see the beach, but never actually go out to it because I'd just be inside working. Because obviously you feel a sense that you don't necessarily earn it sometimes, don't you?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like you don't earn that privilege to actually go out there and just relax. And like for me, when every single time I did used to go to the beach, I used to get a little bit lazy as well. So I used to kind of just lock myself in the apartment and just be like, no, I've got to stay here because I haven't earned that yet.
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
was the case that I kind of went through. But take us all the way back. So what was your kind of upbringing like? Where did you actually grow up? Where did you come from?
I'm extremely blessed that I had two parents that were super hardworking. That was probably like the number one thing that was pushed into me was you must work hard. Even like as soon as dinner was done, who's helping clean up? Who's doing the dishes? Who's doing this? And it was always like little things that you was really praised on for just working hard. My dad had his own business doing tree cutting, like tree surgeon. And I can't even remember how young I was when he took me with him. And every school holiday, I was lugging out branches, raking up, and they were big, strenuous jobs. But he always made it fun. And the best thing he'd done, which I absolutely love, we would drive back, we'd always go in the pub after. It'd be like, don't tell your mum, we're popping in the pub. We'd pop in. And just being around all them conversations that he would be having with his mates and also business owners, that was a great learning curve. But he'd always say to me, there'd always be like a wage he would give me, and then he'll go, what do you think your work was worth today? And if I was like, oh, I think I worked hard, he goes, do you? Because I saw you on your phone, or I saw you sitting in the cab when there was more to be done, or I ended up picking up the leaves when you left it a bit of a mess, because he was like a perfectionist as well. So it instilled in me, like, the harder I worked, the more he would actually pay. And if I was slipping or being lazy, he would straight up be honest with me and be like, look, you're not getting, or there was a £5 tip, but do you think you actually deserve that today? And I'll be like, do you know what? No, I did go sit in the cab early. So I was never forced to work until the end of the shift, but if I didn't, it would reflect in the pay. And I think that was a great, great lesson. So yeah, I'm blessed for that, for sure. From there, I was always into sport as well. So I think that really helped with my mindset. When I left school, I went to college to do a football course. This is no joke. I left school and I just wanted to get a scholarship to America to play football. Within, I think I was getting free buses to college every day, right? I used to have to get up at around 5 a.m, free buses so I could play football training before the actual day started. And I started to realize, like, most of the team were only 20 minutes from the college. Most of them drove as well, but I was the most consistent to always turn up. And that really frustrated me because the team was not performing that well. And I was like, this is shit. Like, I'm having, like, my ability to actually do well in this sport is dictated because these lazy motherfuckers aren't turning up. And that really frustrated me. So in a couple of months, I just pulled out of college. So like, we're not winning games. I'm not doing this to not win or to be able to progress my ability. So I pulled out of that, and then I went into working in insurance, which I never wanted a 9 to 5, but it was an easy route for me because my sister was in the same company.
Got you.
But luckily, she was in the underwriting side, and I went into the sales. As soon as I started in the sales, I walked into a business where people had been there for like 10, 15 years. It's only a small company, but everyone was super complacent. And there was like bonuses if you hit your target, and then another bonus if you hit team target. And I was like, why is everyone so complacent? Like, they're getting dead on 9, they then have their breakfast till like 9:30, and then they start work. But there was like leads on the board from the moment you got in.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck this, I'm just gonna get in at 8. I'm gonna blitz them before everyone's in, and I'll probably make sales before anyone turns up. So I just went in with that mindset. Again, I was getting the bus in, I was getting through all the leads. On my lunch break, I was then doing my admin, and then I was just picking up the phone as soon as it rang. I even got a headset. Everyone was on the phone, but I was like, I want to just be able to press a button, so I'm as quick as I can. So I literally went in there. I broke the 20-year record for the company of the amount of sales that I made within a month. They even got me a little trophy. I hit bonuses. I hit the team target pretty much by myself. The first time they'd hit it in ages. And then they even gave me an extra bonus because I was just doing so well. So I remember just sitting there thinking, that was within the first couple of months, like literally. And I remember thinking, where can I go in this company? Because I'm looking at my manager, and he's going to the pub every lunch break, come back drunk. I'm looking at people who are there in their 40s thinking, this isn't where I'm staying. Yeah. So then I went to another insurance job, which was a good pay rise. And I just hated it. I hated every single second because I wasn't on the phones. I was no interaction with people. It was just sit there and do your job. It was just literally a nice little fancy title, but I was just inputting people's information. And I was like, this is not it. And within a couple of months, I gave my notice in there. And luckily, I got into bodybuilding at this time. and my friend's dad was a bodybuilder, and I remember just going to him saying, look, can you do me a diet, sort me out training? I've never done weights before, I've always done sport, I think I'll be all right at this. I paid £10 for a diet plan. How things have changed. I paid £10 for a diet plan, pretty much the same food I eat now as well. And I think like I didn't miss a beat, like literally did not miss a beat. Gave my notice in at my job, and as soon as that was in, I thought, I'm not putting any effort in now. So I sat there Googling bodybuilding, nutrition, training, and just sitting there learning all day, eating my food every 3 hours, down in water, wee every couple of minutes. And the funniest thing, my manager used to sit behind me. But at this point, like I really didn't care, because I was like, I'm leaving in a month. I'm being paid for this month. It doesn't matter if I do work or not. Anyway, literally within the first week, she pulled me into the office and she's like, look, you clearly do not want to be here. Your energy and lack of work ethic is bringing the whole team down. You can go today. And I was like, really? Thank you so much. She was like, yeah, but you're not going to be paid. And I went, no, that's absolutely fine. Honestly, I really appreciate it. And I remember her saying to me, do you want to go around the office and say bye to everyone? I was like, no, honestly, tell them it was great meeting them. Thanks for having me, but that'll be it now. And I was like, getting all my herbal teas out getting all my food prep out the fridge. I had to take up the fridge every day with my food prep. I was like, see ya.
You was that woman in the office where your food just stunk.
Heating up the eggs in a microwave, literally, that was me. And the thing is, right, for her to say to me, your lack of work ethic, that's something that I do not lack. But in that situation, I was so lazy because I did not care and I was not interested. And if I was to judge myself based on that, then I wouldn't have had the ability to then go think, okay, I'm going to make self-employed work. But it was like, I had the awareness that this is just something I'm not interested in. And I'm going to be below average in anything I do, unless I'm super interested and passionate about it.
So on that point as well, because obviously that's the transition that a lot of people, they do struggle with. And even myself, it probably took me a whole year to actually pluck up the courage to actually leave like employment, like even myself as well. So what was kind of running through your mind, and what was your approach with that? Was it just a leap of faith, or did you actually have some like finances behind you that you kind of like backed yourself with before you did it? So how did you kind of approach that transition into self-employment?
Do you know what? I was quite lucky as well. So like I say, my mum and dad are super entrepreneurial. And when I was at school, when my sister was at school, the vending machines got taken away. So straight away, my mum was like, Jade, my sister, you're selling chocolate. You're going in and I'll buy it for you. She was doing it on like a small scale. And when I then went to the school, my sister left and my mum was like, no, you need to do it. And because my sister done it, I was like, well, I need to do it bigger and better than her. And literally from the age of year 7 to the moment I left, I sold chocolate every day. And the teachers knew, but because I was a good student, like really good student. And even my head teacher was like, Shannon, we know you're doing it. Just don't be disrespectful doing teachers' faces and stuff. We're not going to let anybody else do it. I literally had the monopoly. I saved over £8,000 in the space of year 7 to when I left in year 11. My mum, I used to come home every day. My mum would take all the money and she would buy the chocolate for me, bless her, but all the profit would go straight into an account for me. So when I left, I had that straight away. Then I obviously went straight into work after I dropped out of college, and I'd done pretty well there. So I had a little bit of security. But I think the thing that drove me the most was my parents had their own thing going on, but they wanted me to go into 9 till 5. And it was crazy because when I was saying I was going to give my notice in, my mum was so against it. It drove me to want to do it more, because it was like, well, you're telling me that I'm not as good as you then because you're doing it, but I can't. And she's like, you don't understand how hard it is. You're not going to be able to do it. Stay where you are. And honestly, the more she said that, the more I was like, well, I'm going to have to prove you. And I think that in itself was the biggest driving force that I've ever had.
Do you know what? Your parents sound very, very similar to mine. But I was brought up in a very similar environment, and like the biggest difference between me and like my mum and dad, let's say, my mum and dad work for themselves, but they're not necessarily business owners. They just work for themselves, if that makes sense. Are your parents similar, or is there any sort of difference there?
Yeah, just absolute grafters, like
Yeah.
service providers, really good local businesses, great reputation, super busy, but no scale, can't really scale from there.
Got you. So when you stepped into that first insurance broker then, so where did you get that drive from to go in there and absolutely annihilate sales targets? Like where did you get that drive from then?
I think I was just super competitive and I looked at it as a game. I walked in there and I looked around, and I think that was probably the first time I realized my mindset's different, because I'm like, I was genuinely confused why nobody wanted to pick up the phone. It's a potential sale which could give you a bonus. Why
Yeah.
would you not care about that? Like if my name wasn't at the top of the leaderboard, it was like, it wasn't even a financial gain. It was more how I felt about myself. I felt like a loser. I
Yeah.
wanted to win in everything I'd done based on my supporting background. Like I was a terrible loser. That's why I quit the football team. Genuinely, like it would annoy me if we left the football. It didn't even matter if it was just like I played to quite a high standard. But even if it was just a local game and we lost and we go to the changing rooms and all the girls are having a joke and a laugh, I was that sour player that was like, what's funny? What's
Yeah.
funny with just us? Like, why do you find this funny? Why do you not care? I'm training like every day to win, and you just find it funny, and it infuriated me. Looking back, like, come on, Shannon, it's just fucking Sunday league, you know? Like, chill out, these girls want to have a bit of fun. But for me, it was like, what? Yeah,
No,
it's funny.
someone get this girl a juice box. Like, chill her out.
Yeah, get this girl a chill film.
I love that. I'm just genuinely curious because it's like on the Stephen Bartlett podcast, he always kind of goes back to childhood and how it kind of shapes you. But there are certain elements in your sort of upbringing that do shape you. It is important because obviously you're just learning from your environment. You're like a sponge as a kid, aren't you? As you kind of growing up. So go back to when you took that leap of faith and into self-employment. Kind of pick up from where you left off there. So what happened next from there?
Yeah, I was scared. Definitely, absolutely. I had just bought myself a Mini Cooper, and it was fresh, it was green, like, I absolutely loved it. I was so paranoid that this had my savings in this car. I would park like the style of Tesco's where no one parks and no one could touch my car.
Yeah.
I think in like 3 weeks, yeah, like 3 weeks of having the car, I sold it and I made like, I don't know, 200-300 quid. Because my mum kept saying to me, like something goes wrong with that car, that's all your money gone, blah blah blah, you're going to lose money. So I was like, okay, well, to prove her, I'll make sure I make a couple of hundred. So so I sold that car, had my savings back, and was like, look, let's go again at this. Quit my job, and I just won my first bodybuilding show. And I think if I hadn't done that, I probably wouldn't have believed in myself as much as I did, because genuinely my parents did believe in me, which
Yeah.
I'm thankful for, genuinely, because I think if someone was telling me to do something, sort of person that probably wouldn't have. So the fact that I was on a mission to prove them wrong, and I'd already proven myself right in doing the bodybuilding prep, doing everything the way I should have done it, sticking to those promises to myself, and then winning, I was like, well, I'm someone worth betting on. And I think that was a real confidence boost to myself. So my prep coach was then opening up his own gym, like a studio. And I said to him, look, I will start my PT course now. Can I just come and start getting experience and just, I'll do whatever needs to be done, basically. So I started cleaning the toilets, cleaning the gym floor, and was just hustling to get clients, getting my awareness. He was a great mentor. He had a good reputation in the area, and he was good on like marketing. And I just marketed myself. And that's when I started my Instagram account and started documenting my prep journeys. And there wasn't many people, I'm from Essex, there wasn't many people in Essex, especially females, that were competing. Now you walk into any gym, there's someone competing or doing something, or a photo shoot.
Loads.
Back then it wasn't. So, I was riding a wave that was coming in and I was getting popular. So I'm fortunate of the timing, but also I made the jump at that time as well.
Yeah, got you. So you went into face-to-face personal training. That was your kind of first injection in self-employment.
Yeah.
Awesome. How did that go? How did that go from ground zero? Because obviously as part of Limitless, we obviously work with a lot of like personal trainers and online fitness coaches, don't we? So what was that first initial like injection of clients like? Like how did you grow that aspect? Obviously, you mentioned there the marketing side of things, but what did you actually do to get those initial clients in and kind of get that momentum going?
So I would spend all day, every day in that gym. I've always been a kind of bit of a lone wolf. Like I've got my real close friends that, because I've always done sport, my friendships were always in the teams. So I
Yeah,
never really socialized, I never really went out and partied or anything like that. So for me, Monday to Sunday, I was in that gym and they done classes in the gym. So like it was a boxercise gym. So there was always loads of people. And I was just always there, always talking, always there, had a personal trainer top on, and was just building up my awareness. I started, I think I was like £15 an hour. I had to give the gym, I think it was 50%.
yeah,
So yeah, I was trying to bring that down with the cleaning. And I just, yeah, I started there. And then when I started to get more into bodybuilding, I've done a lot of bodybuilding preps back to back when I started PTing, because I found like that was a great tool to get clients. And it was like building trust and credibility straight away. When I got into that more, I then left and went to another gym. And I think a common theme in my story is I never stayed anywhere that long. I
yeah,
always, when things started to get comfortable, I always then made that next jump. And every time my mum was like, Shan, you're doing well, like stay where you are. No, next jump now, next risk. And that's something that I've always done. So when I was doing really well in that boxer size gym, I was like, I'm going to Rip Gym now. That was like the biggest gym in Essex of bodybuilding. And it was
yeah.
like, okay, some of my clients didn't want to come there because it was a little bit further away and it was a more intimidating gym. And I was like, okay, but I want to specialize in bodybuilding now. So this is where I need to start building from the ground up again.
Yeah, yeah. We've got a few people who are in Rip Gym at the moment, actually, that we're mentoring, which is quite funny. So, so did the whole demographic, the clientele change when you went over to Rips, and like how did that transition go?
Yeah, that changed because in the boxer size gym, it was like a family gym, really family community orientated. Rip Gym is very intimidating for them sort of people. It's the hard gym goers.
Yeah,
It's where I wanted to be. So I started again, small fish in a big sea, got some hours behind the counter, and I was great receptionist. Just like I would say hello, goodbye, have a conversation with every single person. And that really, like being in a popular gym like that and getting the opportunity to work on a front desk, whereas most would be like, oh, I don't want to be a receptionist. To me, I was like, this is the golden opportunity.
yeah.
And that really brought or helped build my brand and awareness as a trainer, as a yeah, as someone who's in a good gym.
Yeah, I think the common theme that I'm kind of seeing here is everything that you've done up until this point, obviously we'll continue, but everything you've done up until this point, you're simplifying things and you're just doing it. So you're looking at things as a yes or no sort of option rather than a debate, like a question, like you're not necessarily determining how to make like everything absolute, all the nitty gritty pot pieces of the puzzle perfect. You're just, even with the sales board, like, okay, that's the target, that's the bonus, let's get it. Like, okay,
Yeah.
well, I've got to pick up this phone to get that sale, okay, pick up the phone. Whereas a lot of people around you are kind of maybe overthinking it, maybe second guessing themselves, maybe trying to think about the best approach to that sort of thing. But the common theme that I'm seeing here, all the way back to when he was working with your dad, is it's just a yes or no sort of scenario, and you just getting the job done and then moving on. So that's something that I see, like especially in our circle at the moment, a lot of us are exactly the same way, and it's a common trait that I see with a lot of entrepreneurs themselves as well. They just get it done. Like they don't necessarily dwell on things and spend a shit ton of time actually thinking about doing something. They just get the job done and kind of learn on the job as they're kind of going. Like, would you say that's correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in this day and age, because on Instagram, there's such a platform where you can see how well people are doing.
Yeah,
People's expectations are so high. And part of my blessing was I never really had an expectation other than I'm going to do something that I enjoy. The moment I don't enjoy it, the moment I don't want to be in this environment, I'm going to leave and I'll make it go again.
yeah,
That was always a very easy decision. Like, okay, I'm in this boxer size gym. I feel capped. I don't want to specialize in what they're doing. The decision is to leave, regardless if I have to take a small step back. I'll make it back. Whereas I think people these days are scared of failing because they're comparing of where everybody else is, and they're not following what's true to them. They're
yeah.
following what other people have done. And I'm blessed that there wasn't social media in the capacity that it is now.
Yeah, I agree, because we see so many people, especially in the online coaching world as well, where they've got a post, they've got to show up, they've got to show the face, put themselves on camera, and that can relate into a sale. So similar to the insurance side of things that you was talking about. So post this, it results as a byproduct in an actual sale. Oh, I don't know how I'm going to look. I don't know how I'm going to sound. Am I saying the right thing? All of these things, but just post and you'll get the sale. Like, this is what you want to do, and it's simplifying things. Sometimes is a massive benefit to what you actually do. When you overthink things and dwell on things and try and make everything perfect, it can really hold you back in what you're actually doing. And like you said, it's comparing, isn't it?
Literally, I think my naivety was one of the best things about the whole journey. I was just so naive. So from Rip Gym, I started as a receptionist. I started building. The way I actually got the job there as well, right, was I walked in one day and the owner was there, and I paid for a session with a £20 note, and the guy gave me back, and it was only £5 entry. The guy gave me back the £20 and a fiver. And I went to the changing rooms. I looked down and I was like, this guy's just done it completely wrong. So I went back out and I was like, hi, you've given me way too much back. I gave you 20. And he went, you're a great person. You're an honest, good person. And I was like, well, there's no need to not be honest. And he was like, what do you do? I was like, oh, I'm a personal trainer at a gym down the road. He went, you should come and work here. I'll give you a job here. He was like, I'll push clients your way. I'll help you. You can work on a reception. Just because he wanted honest, good people. And I was like, well, that could work. So then, yeah, that's when I left the other job and then started there. But as things started to go well there, I had my bodybuilding coaches there, and there was just a few things there that was conflicting with my personal values.
Yeah.
You know, the sort of people that sort of gym is going to attract was an environment that after a year, first of all, a bit exciting, it's a buzz, turns into a club, pretty much a club in the evening. And then it was like, do you know what? I don't know if this is an environment I want to stay around. So this is super random. This is the naivety. I just quit, refunded every PT client that I had, and moved to Norwich, which is literally like 2 hours away. And I was like, my mum and dad are like, what are you doing? You've made something work, you've left it and jumped into something else, you've made something else work, and now you're leaving it again. And I was like, don't worry.
I'll be fine. I'll be fine.
I was like, yeah, don't worry. I'll walk into the next gym. I'll build it back again. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Well, I walked into the next gym, and that was the big learning curve. It was like, okay, Shan, this is hard actually. And I think that was like life humbling me a little bit.
Yeah. Why Norwich?
So my parents had a log cabin in Norwich. So for me, we used to go up there from about the age of 6, we'd always go up there, but it really is in the sticks. Like, I'm talking sticks. So I was like, yeah. And my parents always said they were going to move. And this is another thing. I think I've always been on this point to prove. Not that I think that that's right, but just being completely honest on the reflection. When I was 7, and the summer holidays, my mum was like, look, we're moving. We're leaving here, we're moving, right? So I even went to school the last days. I was getting my top signed. I was getting gifts from friends. So was my sister. We moved to Norwich, and within like 2 days, my mum was like, I can't do it. I'm leaving. We're going back. She got in the car, like literally left me, my dad, my sister, and the dogs, and drove back. And she couldn't do it because she was just stressed about it, which, you know, that's absolutely fine. She was comfortable in Essex. But I think when then I said it, I was kind of like, but I am actually going to do it.
Yeah.
And again, I think it was a bit of a point to prove because I didn't feel like they believed I could do these things. So anyway, I moved to Norwich, and my point to prove definitely did not prove much of a point other than going pro. You know, it was so funny. I was like, yeah, falling in the gym, like I had no social media presence. I met some great people there though, like Norwich is filled of great people. But even the cost, like the average wage there is lower than Essex. People weren't so much into personal training, and I was on prep. I then came dead last in the British finals that year. So like it was just like a big humbling year because I'm like, I've won all my shows, I've made it to the British finals. I come literally dead last at the British. I've gone for all my savings on them preps. I'm literally buying frozen whitefish from Tesco's. I don't even know what fish it was. And then I remember thinking, oh shit, I fucked up here. didn't pick up any clients. But because I had so much time, I just started building my social media because I was like, there's not much else to be doing here, right? I'm in the sticks. So I built my social media and I started to get some online clients. I think I lasted 6 months in Norwich. Then I was like, I'm out. And I used to also drive back every weekend to still do PT clients Saturday and Sunday to try and make it through the week in Norwich because I was too stubborn to actually leave Norwich.
You had that point to prove. You had to stay.
So it was just, I would drive back and forth just to do them clients to get me through another week on prep and support my food. Anyway, I moved back to Essex. My mum was like, see, you should listen to us. I was like, no. And I had a little bit of savings left, right? And I was like, I have to make this work now. I'm like, all right, there's 2 gyms I'm now already left in Essex. I'm not going back to them gyms. There must be another. And then I find this new gym and I go into that gym. And then I invested into my first mentor. So this is the point when life started to change because I was like, okay, no more scatty decisions. This is like, I need to follow something through and make something work. So I started at this new gym. I invested into my first mentor, literally every penny that I had. And he helped me build the first brand that I was really proud of, which was called Fit Chicks. And it was basically a boot camp for ladies, but they paid a monthly subscription. I gave them nutrition, I gave them their training plan outside the classes, and they got access to like 15 classes a week. There was like 3 classes a day. That got so busy. Like, we used to go out for dinners. People, like, I still see on Facebook now, people from that group still going out together. That's how much of a friendship it was. Wow. I then took on my first employee to do the 6 a.m. classes. So I just done the evening. And looking back, that was genuinely some of the best times of my life. Like, I loved that so much. But then in pure Shannon fashion, I just got bored of it. Like, every time something goes extremely well, I'm just like, wait. And this is where I realized is I'm not doing this for the money. I do this because I just love the buzz and the game and the building. So from there, I was like, I'm really sorry, everybody. I don't want to do this anymore. And everyone, like, there was people in the class crying. And in hindsight, I should have got someone to take over the classes, kept the community, kept the brand, and then build my online. But I was like getting really busy online. Bodybuilding was going extremely well. I was winning shows again. And then I won the British finals. And then things online just started to really pick up then. And I was like, I don't have the time or energy for this now. And then completely shifted online.
Yeah, got you. So obviously your pattern up till this point is you just love the growing phase. So every single time that you feel complacent or you feel comfortable, it's like obviously time to move on. So did you not see a future in Fit Chicks in that brand at the time? Is that why you kind of started to feel comfortable?
I think so from a kid, I always wanted to live abroad. I always said 2 things to my parents. If we drove past a Range Rover, I'd be like, I'm gonna have a blacked out Range Rover. And they were always just like, all right, Shan, like, get good grades at school. And I was like, I'm gonna move abroad. And they were like, yeah, all right, take us with you then. So like, it was always just like a bit of a passing comment, but it was like, as I was getting older, those 2 things had to then be achieved. And I always felt trapped. Every time I was PTing, it was like, I'm trapped to this gym. Now I've built these classes, I'm trapped to these classes. Online was the first time I was like, I'm free. I can literally do and go where I want to go. And I think that's something I always wanted. I always wanted to feel free.
Yeah, love that, love that. So is that when you made the jump to Dubai?
Yeah, and do you know what the funniest thing is as well? I just bought a 3-bedroom house. I had a little dog there as well. From the outside, you'll be like, she's proper on her feet, proper settled, got stability. Boom, up in the air, off she goes. every time.
Shannon. So what were your thoughts, feelings going into that move into Dubai? Because obviously it's brand new country. Obviously, as you know, I'm kind of going through that with moving my business out there as well. So what were those thoughts, feelings, and everything that you kind of went through mentally in that transition to a completely different foreign country?
Yeah, I mean, again, I was very fortunate that through bodybuilding, I had a good community. And when I competed in Scotland, I met this couple, amazing people, who literally said to me, I wouldn't say an opportunist, but like, if someone gives me an opportunity, I will take it. And I met them in Scotland. We got on extremely well. And they were like, look, because I was like, you live in Dubai, that's amazing. I'd love to come to Dubai. They were like, look, book a flight, come stay with us, see if you like it. Literally, we stayed in contact for like a week. And then I was like, look, I've just booked a flight. Is it okay? They were like, yeah, absolutely. Like, they're honestly like really good people. Stayed with them for a week. And I was like, this is great. I could think, and my mindset's always, if they can do it, why can't I? Like, I'm genuinely willing to put the work in. So then I was like, right, online is happening. We're doing this big, and I'm gonna find the people to help me move abroad. So then I found the contact to open my business there. That got me a visa, found an apartment, had enough behind me at this point to feel comfortable. I remember, and then I remember at the airport, this is the funniest thing. So my mom's like the best person to really motivate me. I have if I'm ever feeling a little bit down, speak to her, and it's just like, right, got to prove to her. So anyway, we're at the airport and she's dropped me off and I've got all my stuff with me. She taps me on the back and she goes, go on then, off you go, so you can just hurry up and come back. Because she's, yeah, because she's like, you keep talking about it, just go and do it, so you can just hurry up and come back. Her saying that, it's like, no, I've got to make this work now. It's like, no,
Absolutely love that. So yeah, the common theme is your actions almost run faster than your thoughts and feelings. So before you've even had chance to actually think about it and actually make that decision like mentally, you've already done it. Like that's the common theme that I'm kind of seeing, which is fucking awesome. It's like booking a flight. When I was living in Spain, there was a ton of people that said, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna come out, I'm gonna like see what it's like." Never booked a flight. I think there was a couple of people that actually came out and actually like took action to see what it was like actually like in a foreign country. So there's not a lot of people that just take that action, which is one of the common themes that I've kind of seen with your journey up until this point.
yeah, and do you know what? Something that always sticks in my mind is, you know, in the days I worked with my dad, he's like a guru, the words that he says, but he tells it in such a way you always listen. You know, like someone can preach and you're like, it's a bit preachy. But that always makes a story funny with a great lesson attached. I remember like something he said to me was like, Shan, your life is a movie,
Yeah.
and you better make it worth watching. So he's like, don't not do the things that you want to do, because when he has this philosophy that when you pass, you get to watch it all back in a movie. He's like, so make sure it's exciting, because otherwise you're going to be bored.
You know what? I've loved that. I've never heard that perspective before. But I actually love that. That's really,
Yeah.
really, really good.
It makes me just like, when things are so serious, like, oh my God, I'm moving to Dubai. It's like, all right, I'm moving to Dubai. If it don't work, fuck it. I've already been moved to Norwich. It didn't work. No problem. You start from the zero. I literally remember getting back from Norwich, going to Tesco's to get a meal deal. And I just paid this mentor and I couldn't afford the meal deal. I was like, shit. Where most people probably panic and stress, overwhelm, procrastinate, I was like, now it's really fun. Like, this is really push and shove.
That next sale is going to mean so much more. No, I love that. I love that. So how long have you been in Dubai now?
This is my 4th year.
4 year flow.
4th year now, yeah, it really has flown. But I mean, you know, this spontaneous, impulsive mindset also has its strengths and weaknesses. I haven't been here for the full 4 years. I've started off different countries, traveled, seen some things and stuff.
Yeah. I was going to say, what's next? You bored already, or you good there?
I tell you what I love about the mentoring. So it's the same with my online businesses. Started in fitness, went extremely well, hired 3 coaches, had that great business running, then started the eating disorder or the disordered eating program, because that was something I then felt passionate about. That went extremely well, hired a team. But instead of keeping these things running, which in hindsight, really wish that I just managed them, I'm the sort of person that's just like, well, done that, tick, on to the next. So the fitness business, doing extremely well, like super killing it. I was just like, yeah, coaches, have the clients, I'm on to the next thing now. and then focusing on the next chapter. But the thing with the disordered eating, I've kept that going. Outsource it to the team, managing the team. The mentoring, it mentally stimulates me, because there's always a different business. There's always a different obstacle, challenge. And I think that's the thing that I love so much about the mentoring, is I'm dealing with different people, with different passions, with different businesses.
Yeah.
I'm always excited and stimulated, and I love it.
Yeah, every single, I'm exactly the same. Every single call, every single conversation is completely different. So, like, you could have like a really, really structured day, and you could be back to back with calls, but it's a different scenario every single time, and it's fantastic. It's not like you're repeating yourself, or because obviously we work one to one, it's bespoke with each person. So it's a fantastic varied day, and it's a really it's an enjoyable day as well. It's a really enjoyable day. So obviously the Inner Self Club still kind of running. So talk a little bit about that and the sort of drive behind that as well.
So when I first moved out to Dubai, it was a rocky year, to be honest. I moved out, pure shell and fashion, super rushed it. The apartment that I put my deposit down, I lost that. Paid a couple of months up front, lost that. It was the first time in 15 years that it had rained continuously for 2 weeks. 2 weeks that I had landed, and it was on my birthday. I had nowhere to live. It was stressful, like genuinely. Mum was just on the phone, just come home, come home. No, I can't. I have to make this work now. So it was stressful, and then I had some other relationship issues. When I then did go back to the UK, when one of the first lockdowns hit, I was there for a bit, and I was just generally in a bit of a bad place because I'd been in this traumatic relationship, and I started going to therapy for a bit.
Yeah.
And having gone to therapy, it just opened my mind up a lot to like just understanding people on a deeper level. So when I was then fitness coaching, it was like I wanted to know if people were okay, not just physically how you're changing, but okay, what's your relationship like with food? Like how long are we sustaining these results for? How's other areas of your life? So anyway, long story short, I worked with this particular client who opened up to me during the lockdown that she was binging bad, throwing up, over exercising, had bulimia. And I was like, look, I want to help you, and I believe I can. And the therapist that I had at the time, I was like, look, I'll pay for the sessions, but can you just do some sessions with this girl the way you have helped me? Let's see if this works. I'll do a nutrition training. I'll give her the balance again. You help with a deep rooted problem. That combination, like I sponsored her to help her. She was also an influencer. Just so happened, like literally, it was just chance. And then I said to her, look, if this does help, I'm willing to cover the cost, but if this does help, can you just share the awareness? So if anyone else is struggling, we can also help them. When she'd done that, it was like, I can't explain how crazy this business went. She shared what she was experiencing. She shared how we had helped her. And we was getting inquiries globally. The lockdown had just hit. I remember having a waiting list of like 2,500 people. And I was getting emails, people's parents messaged me, people's boyfriends reaching out to me, like, please, can you respond? So that I couldn't hire a team quick enough.
Yeah.
Then I never even managed or hired or trained or anything like that before. So then I was like in this overwhelm, trying to do all these things, create systems. So that's where the Inner Self Club started, but it was actually called the Mental Wellness Program at the time. And I still did have the fitness business. So I was running both these things. It was super, it was just so chaotic, like literally that lockdown. I remember just working every hour possible. And then long story short, yeah, I then had to like step out of it myself, because when you're trying to do all of them things for the business and you're dealing with people's mental health in a global pandemic, it was so like, it was, all I can describe it as heavy. Every day felt so heavy for me that I was like, I need to get myself out of the day-to-day coaching to be able to even have the mental capacity to work on this business. And I felt obliged morally to make the business work because I knew how many people it was helping.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, and then again, I got another mentor, and I was like, look, I need help with this because this is something that is seriously changing people's lives. The reviews are still like, they still make me cry today if I watch them. Like it's incredible. But I knew I couldn't stay in it. So yeah, that was a transition out of it. And the first real business that I built that was like solid.
Yeah, it's a huge part of it as well. Like even my fitness business going into the first lockdown, I remember like going downstairs. My office used to be upstairs. I used to go downstairs to the wife, and there'd be some days where I used to just almost have a tear in my eye because I'd gone from being an online coach to therapist without having the experience to. It was just problem after problem after problem, like over and over again. And I was struggling at the exact same time. So I remember back to that first lockdown, it was really heavy for a lot of people mentally as well. So the timing of obviously the Inner Self Club, like the sort of origin of it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect looking back at that. So it obviously you built something that you're super proud of as well, and it's still running today, which is absolutely fantastic. So what's the size and what's the structure of the Inner Self Club now?
So now we still have, because also for me, where I was genuinely in a better place when I started all of this, when I'm speaking to people who are still struggling, it can be quite triggering. Like genuinely, you have to be like super solid to be able to speak to people with all this emotion and even do the marketing for it. You have to get yourself back to that place to be able to speak to the people who will be able to relate. And the people that are relating are people who are struggling. So for me, it was something that I just wanted to step back from to protect my own energy, that I never wanted to give up. That was something that really, meant a lot. So I've got someone to do the marketing, who could relate, who has been through it themselves, an influencer. I have someone to do the coaching, who again has been through it themselves, super passionate. I've had doctors on board who are psychologists, who understand people on a deeper level, and they come in to give me the insight in regards to areas that we can improve as well. So this strategy in regards to how we're helping people, because I want people to become stronger and not dependent on a coach. The philosophy is you come to us, we'll educate you and we'll help you become mentally stronger. Yes, there's therapy involved. We're going to have to connect the dots, but there's an action plan. And the therapist that I have on board is very structured in there's 3 sessions. We gain clarity, and then the rest is about how we can now move forward from this. Whereas a lot of therapy is, let's keep talking about the problems. You talk about your problems for long enough, you find yourself straight back into the same problem. It's like, this happened, this was shit, this was traumatic, it led to coping mechanisms, but now what are we going to do about it? And the philosophy is we have to move forward from this. Your life, this is just a chapter. And a lot of times with disordered eating, it can become people's identity. We've got a team, we've got the therapist, we've got a clinical nutritionist that gives people education. Same with the coaching, you also have modules to work through. So it's all about the education for me. It's like everything that I believe people should have learned at school is what we put into that program.
Love that. So if anyone is obviously struggling, reach out to Shan as well. So if you enter that program, you're literally going to come out of the other side mentally and physically like a different beast, different human being, which is quite exciting. So what's next for Shan Mac? Where's the future take Shan Mac? Where are you going?
You know what? It's a weird question, because one thing that I definitely don't want to do is overwhelm myself. Like I'm genuinely happy. I'm in a good spot, and I just want to work with a selected amount of mentees, like I am, who are passionate about what they're doing, who execute the advice to not make mistakes that I've made. I've got a lot of experience from trialing and erroring these different things, and it's just like, look, I can shortcut you there. It does require work, and I just want to work with people who are ready to go to that next level whilst keeping it capped, because I don't want to overwhelm myself either. So it really is more of like, it's a passion project for me, while still being able to have the time to travel. Like I enjoy doing that. I love experiencing different cultures, meeting new people, and being part of the team. Like Limitless, I love that. I've missed that for a long time, because when you're kind of running a business, it's not the same community that you build, because you have to just stay that little bit more authoritative, right? Whereas with Limitless, it's like we're all just there. It's great. I love it.
To be honest, it takes we were saying to Elliot actually when we was expanding the team, it takes a very special person to be part of the circle as well, because I mean, you know what it's like, we're all just striving to progress. Like with the mentees, we want them to progress, and then us as a company, we're trying to just do better, and like really have an impact like all the time. So it probably stimulates everything that you kind of went through in this whole journey, where you just wanted that next step. Whereas with Limitless, you've got that every single week because we're always having that internal next step like all the time. So no, honestly, you're absolutely killing it. You're doing a fantastic job, doing a really good job. So what would you say is so from that whole journey from start to finish, what would you say is the one single like biggest lesson that you could give someone who is thinking about starting their own business, thinking about maybe taking the leap from employed to self-employed and just fucking going for it? What would that one sort of lesson be to them?
I think it's just don't take yourself so seriously. Like to go into anything and think you're not gonna mess up or slip up or make a mistake is just, for me, I always knew I was gonna, and I was always okay with that, and it was almost part of the fun. But I think lots of people get knocked back the first time something doesn't go to plan, or they get someone doubt them, and it's just like, welcome it. Go and fuck up, go and learn, go and make these mistakes and welcome it, because that's what's going to help you get to that next level. And too many people are afraid to make a mistake and they want things to go perfect. The one moment it doesn't, they're like, well, I'm not cut out for this, or that person was right. Embrace it. It's so part of the journey. It's actually I wouldn't be able to sit here and tell a story if I didn't have the ups and downs. Those downs were so important for me to celebrate those highs. It's like what you said about me trying to buy that meal deal. It didn't work, got declined. Got that next sale. I was celebrating, like that meant so much that you can see yourself gaining that momentum again. So like, I think just don't worry about the worst thing that could happen, because the very, very, very worst thing that can happen in this life is you get to 80 years old and you look back and your movie that you made is boring and you think, wow, I could have, would have, should have done more. And I think that's probably the best lesson I could pass forward.
Yeah, love that. Second that as well. Second that. So, like we said at the very start, I got you to write a number down for how many views this will get by the end of January. So, if you comment below the word Mack, so MACK, how many views this video actually gets? So I'm going to post it on YouTube as well. How many views this actually gets? I'm going to put £1 in and send you £1 to help you build your business from the ground up. Now, if Shannon guesses the number correctly by the end of Jan, I'm going to double it as well. So, what was the number?
20.
20. Cool. That's so low.
You know what? This is me, yeah. I was like 100, then I was like 50, and I scribbled it out. I got 3 scribbles, and then I got 20. I was like, thank you, Jan.
Funny, I'm going to write this down. This is the first ever one, and I'm getting my YouTube going as well. So I think that's pretty realistic as well. So that's fantastic. So where can people find Shan Mack? Where can people find you?
Turn of the Mack.
Turn of the Mack.
I hope that song comes in on the intro.
I'm going to play that at the very end.
It's actually very fit with my life as well. So you can find me on Instagram. It's shanmack_mentor. That's probably the best place. Everything else is directed from there. But thanks for having me on, Josh. It was a lot of fun.
Excellent. No, thanks for sharing the story. It's really it's been really valuable, even for me actually listening as well. This is what I want from these sort of conversations. I just want to show people the path and the actual journey, because like I said at the very start, people see result. They see the end goal. They see especially the way that social media is like now. They see like the cars, the money, the life, etc. They see the goals that people are achieving, but they don't necessarily know the step-by-step on how different people have actually got there. So that's kind of what I want to share. So no, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thank you.